So James and I have decided that we wanted to do a cooking show. And the first one we decided to start with was with one of his favorite meals, which is Parmesan chicken and Fettuccine Alfredo. So anytime I'm cooking with raw chicken or handling raw chicken, I'm always using gloves. So let me get those on real quick. And while I'm doing that, I'm using boneless, skinless chicken thighs, but you could use chicken breasts. It just depends on your preference. Our family loves chicken thighs. And we've prepped them by cutting off the extra fat and cleaning them. And so this is all just a really nice fillet of chicken thigh meat. So what I'm going to do is put olive oil in this pan, in this dish. It's just to coat it with olive oil, the chicken, and then I'm going to dip it in the seasoning mix, which I'll show you. When James would come home from school, he would usually bring a lot of friends with him, which was wonderful. We had a blast with these guys. And this was the meal every single time that he would request for them to have as soon as they got home. So this is it. So what I'm putting here was just extra virgin olive oil. And then I'm going to have a mixture here of, this is about 2.5 cups of breadcrumbs. I'm probably not going to put it all in here at once. And this is about a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. So you're going to do about 2 to 1 breadcrumbs to Parmesan cheese, maybe a little less Parmesan cheese, but it really just depends on your personal preference. I'm going to add a little bit more breadcrumbs to this. And I'm using the seasoned breadcrumbs. That's very important. Use the seasoned breadcrumbs. If you have to do gluten-free, I believe there are some gluten-free breadcrumbs out there. So, but you could do just Parmesan cheese too. It doesn't have the crunch as much, but it's still really, really good. And then I add a little bit of extra seasoning. This is just the Lawry's coarse salt with a little bit of garlic and parsley. So I'm just adding a little bit of that. This is a teaspoon, but I'm not going to add all of it to this. So the first thing is to get I'm going to move these out of the way so you can see. First thing is to get my chicken in the oil. Just kind of dip it on both sides. And then we're just going to place it in the breadcrumbs. I'm going to put another piece in there while that's... And you're just going to coat it with the breadcrumb mixture. This is really good. I mean, it comes out really moist and tender with a nice crisp on the outside. And then I've sprayed this baking sheet with cooking spray. And then you're just going to place it there. So you see, it is really, really easy. So I'm going to get a bunch of these coated and fill up this baking sheet. I also do this a lot for those of you that know we do community meals. We do this meal for community meals a lot too, and it's a big hit. And it really is simple. This original recipe came from my Aunt Vi, and she used this seasoned stuffing mix, the Pepperidge Farm seasoned stuffing mix instead of breadcrumbs, but they're really hard to find if it's not around Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we've started using the seasoned breadcrumbs, which work really well. Not quite as crispy as the stuffing mix would be, but it's wonderful. Okay, so now I have these all prepped. They're on the pan, ready to go in the oven. I have the oven set at 400 degrees. They're going to take about 25 to 30 minutes, but I always use a thermometer, and you want it to reach 165 degrees. Okay, my water is now at a rolling boil, as you can see. So I'm adding the salt. You have to add salt to the pasta water. It's just so important. That gives it all the flavor. This is probably about a couple of teaspoons. Nice, you know, it needs to be like sea salt water. So, and I'm using kosher salt. I always use kosher salt. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit for 1 second, and then I'm putting the pasta. I'm using fettuccine. You really could use any pasta if it's your preference, but of course the dish is mostly called Fettuccine Alfredo. So we're putting the fettuccine in. I'm going to let that get down into the water. Make sure it's all submerged in there. And I do not put oil in my water. I know a lot of people think you need to, but you absolutely do not. Just make sure that you're moving it around so it doesn't stick together. Okay, that's really important. I'm going to switch hands so you can see. I'm just taking this and just making sure they're all loose in there. Okay, and you can follow the package directions, which is usually an al dente. I like mine a little more tender, so I'll leave it in a few minutes longer than that. And then I check it periodically just to make sure that it isn't sticking to each other, especially fettuccine because they're a little thicker noodle, so they do tend to stick in the water. Okay, so that's going to cook for about 10 to 12 minutes, depending on how long it takes it to get to a boiling point. Okay, so we're going to go and start making the Alfredo sauce, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so now we're going to start the Alfredo sauce. I'm using an electric skillet just because it's easier to show you what I'm doing, but normally I would just do this on the stovetop. But my electric skillet is a really great one, but you know, they tend to get a little hot. So I'm starting it at 250 degrees. And this is 1.5 sticks of salted butter. I like using the salted butter, and then I do not add any other salt to this. But you can definitely use unsalted and, you know, season it how you like it with salt. Okay, so this needs to melt completely. There's 3 ingredients to this. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. All right, so this is doing a nice melt. I do not want it to get brown. I just want it to melt. This is completely melted now. It's starting to bubble, so I'm going to slowly add this is 2 cups of heavy cream. Okay. This time it's a little bit thick, but I'm probably going to add some of the pasta water once the pasta's cooked, so it'll work out perfectly. Okay, so you want that to completely warm up. You do not want it to boil, but just get to a nice heated temperature before you add the Parmesan cheese. That's what this is. Okay, so I did 1.5 sticks or 3/4 cup of butter, salted butter, and then I let that melt completely. And then I added 2 cups of heavy cream. Okay, and this will be plenty of sauce for 1 pound of fettuccine, which is what is in the pot over there. It's starting to slightly bubble, so I want to add the cheese a little bit at a time. And in between adding it, you want to make sure and stir it, make sure it's getting melted in there, or else you're going to have a clumpy Alfredo. So just add it very little at a time. This is about 1 cup of grated Parmesan. You do not have to add that much, but we like ours pretty cheesy. So, and if there are some lumps, there are a few lumps in here in the cheese, so I am getting that dissolved, getting each lump dissolved. Like I said, this cooks really high, so I keep turning it down. I don't want it to burn. This is such an easy recipe, guys. I hope you will try it. Like I said, it's one of our family favorites. And it's pretty inexpensive because you're using chicken, pasta, butter, cream, some breadcrumbs, you know. It's not a very expensive meal at all. And you can stretch this to feed a lot of people. Well, that's delicious. Okay, so that's perfect. So I'm going to turn this off because we're going to put the pasta directly in the pan and get that sauce all around it and coated around my pasta. Okay, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so we have drained the pasta, but we've reserved some pasta water. I am going to go ahead and add that to this because it is a little thick. So I just added maybe, I don't know, a quarter of a cup, and it looks really good. So now I'm going to take my pasta and just add it directly to this. Okay. Oh yeah, perfect. And then I'm going to stir it up. The pasta was already drained. Okay, so this looks really, really yummy. We're going to get a shot of it so you can see how it should look when it's done. And right now it looks like there's a lot of sauce on it, but it will absorb it. It is so good. So now I'm going to plate this up and show you what the finished product looks like with the chicken and the Alfredo. And we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so everything is finished, so I'm going to plate it. I'm going to take a piece of the Parmesan chicken. Looks really pretty. See how that's golden on the top? We added some garlic bread, and then I'm also going to get a nice serving of the Fettuccine Alfredo. Stir it up one more time to kind of, oh, just got splashed. Distribute the Alfredo, and this will feed quite a lot of people, probably 6 to 8 people. And I'm going to taste it. I'm excited. So with this meal, I would serve a nice green salad. I'm going to cut this here. You can see it's all cooked on the inside. Yummy. And then my pasta. Delicious. Very simple. That's James' favorite meal. There you go. And we're done. Thank you so much for watching. We're hoping to do a few more of these, so if you like this one, let us know. Appreciate it. Bye.